there you have it. Music played by lightning. A little bit better than Mary Had a Little Lamb, I will admit, but hey, I'm working on it. So, do you think, some of you may have noticed there at the beginning, the theme song to the Addams Family, do you believe that the person who invented this machine, their intent was so that someday here at the Museum of Discovery, we'd be able to listen to the Addams Family played by lightning? I don't think that's exactly what he had in mind, but I'd love to be able to ask him what he thinks of what we've done with his technology. Back in 1856, Nikola Tesla was born. And the country at that time was called Serbia, is now Croatia. But he became fascinated with lightning and electricity, specifically a system of electricity known as AC, or alternating current electricity. Now, in a circuit, AC goes one direction and then it switches and goes back the other. It's very efficient. It allows you to be able to control and change the voltage of that electrical current. But the problem was, at that time, no one had been able to make it work with the machines and motors that they needed to drive industry. So everyone was using DC, or direct current electricity. In a DC circuit, the electricity only goes one direction. You can't really control the voltage and change it up and down. So sometimes it might be too powerful and things just burst into flames. So it wasn't exactly the safest system of electricity. But Tesla knew there had to be a way to get AC working. So he traveled all the way from Serbia, clear over to the United States, because he knew if there was anyone in the world who'd be able to help him figure it out, it was a scientist here in the US by the name of Thomas Edison. Now, some of you I see are going, oh, I've heard of that guy before. He's most famous for the work that he did with the light bulb. But he had invested all of his money and a considerable amount of his time into DC electricity. He was building the systems and the machines and generators that they needed to make DC effective in driving industry. So when Tesla came over and said, excuse me, I'd like you to help me get alternating current to work because I think it's better. Edison said, oh, don't be silly. DC's fantastic. Here, help me work on the light bulb. So Tesla did. He said, okay, now let's work on AC electricity. No, Mr. Tesla, let's work on these DC generators. You see, Edison did not want him to figure it out. It would have ruined him financially. But one day, Tesla came up with an idea, a design, and he drew out a schematic for the very first induction motor that would run on alternating current. And he rushed back to Edison and said, Mr. Edison, I have done it. I have solved the puzzle. I have cracked the code. Finally, alternating current will be successful. And you would think Edison himself, being a scientist, would be very excited that this major advancement had been discovered. But instead, he looked at his friend, Mr. Tesla, and said, get out. No, not you, not you. That's what Edison said to Tesla was, you stay. You don't want to miss what's coming up. But Tesla kept working on his design, improving it, making it better. And then one day, he was standing in his laboratory holding one of these. Yes, the tool of the Master Jedi. A bona fide lightsaber. Certainly not a light bulb that we just painted to look like a lightsaber. But that's what it is. Very similar to what Mr. Tesla had, a glass tube filled with gas that when you send electrical current into it, it excites that gas. It starts to dance around, it lights up, it glows. Okay? Now, we know for sure that Tesla's light bulb was not painted to look like a lightsaber. And the reason we know that is when Nikola Tesla was alive, Star Wars did not exist. I know, terrible. There's a time in our history known as the Dark Ages. Look it up sometime. But he claimed that one day when he was in his lab, he got that light bulb close to his machine while it was running. And a very peculiar thing happened. Without any wires or batteries or connections of any kind, that light bulb lit up while he simply held it in his hand. And he figured if he could find what caused that to happen and build it on a grander scale, his dream was to give everyone in the world free wireless electricity. Can you imagine? You don't have to plug things into the wall. You just put a lamp in the middle of the room and it would just light up on its own. What a concept. So he worked on it and he built a lot of things and tried a lot of stuff, and we still have to plug things in. And there's still electrical wires all over the place. Do you think that's because Tesla was wrong and it wasn't possible to broadcast electricity without wires? Well, let's play another song and find out. Well, there you have it. Once again, an amazing thing has happened. That light bulb lit up. No wires, no connections, no batteries, no reason that that light bulb should light. But Tesla was absolutely correct. It was very possible for electricity to be broadcast through the air without wires. But if you noticed, when I was here, the light bulb lit up. But the further I got away from our Tesla coil, eventually it would stop. This coil only generates a field that's about 8 feet in diameter that's strong enough to light our light bulb. So if I wanted to light the light bulb at the back of the theater or on the other end of the museum or a mile away, I'd have to have a much larger Tesla coil. Now, Tesla built one up on a hill above Colorado Springs, Colorado. It would light light bulbs 20 miles away. Problem being, it shot 30-foot long bolts of lightning. And you hear how loud this one is. If it was even bigger, it would be even louder. And anytime you wanted to have the lights on or the television running or anything that required electricity, it would have to be going. You noticed that our light bulb only lit up when our Tesla coil was producing lightning and making electricity. So it would be going with lightning flying all over the place all the time. And it just wasn't practical technology. But in his pursuit of this, Tesla did discover and create a lot of things that we still use today. If you've ever listened to the radio, think Nikola Tesla. The ability to broadcast, to send and receive radio signals through the air is based off of his technology. If you've ever used a remote control to turn on your television, or played with a remote control toy, or used Wi-Fi, cellular data, anything that sends and receives signals without wires is all derived from his technology. You may have noticed our sign over here lighting up periodically as our Tesla coil was working. And you can see the plug is right there on the floor. It's not plugged into anything. The reason we have this here is Tesla also discovered that at different frequencies, neon gas would light up and change colors. So that was another thing that he accidentally discovered in his pursuit of this wireless electricity. He put a different gas inside of his tube, his glass tube one day, and handed it to his good friend Mark Twain and said, "Here, hold this." And they turned on the Tesla coil and they took an X-ray of Mark Twain's skeleton. Except at that time, nobody knew what an X-ray was. They had just discovered this really cool thing that they could do. They didn't realize it was radiation, and probably not the best party trick, but it looked really neat. So we're going to play one more song for you, get out a couple more light bulbs, and let you check out how cool this machine is. Thank you, Mr. Tesla. Well, there you have it. Electricity sent through the air without wires. What an idea. Even today to think about that is pretty amazing. And when you realize that Tesla had these thoughts and discovered these things over 100 years ago, what a visionary he was. Okay. We're starting to just now utilize a lot of the things that he helped us to create and design. Think about how popular drones are and remote control flying things around. Would not have been possible if he hadn't just sat down and goes, I wonder if I can send electricity through the air without wires. Very interesting idea. Well, we do have some time here. I want to thank you very much for tuning in to our Tesla show. I hope you had a wonderful time. I know I did. I always love any opportunity I get to make lightning indoors. But we're going to take some questions. If you have any questions about the Tesla coil itself or something that we talked about in the program, or just a comment about something that you saw, feel free to unmute your microphone, and Mr. Thomas will let me know what the questions are.
Let's start things off with a big round of applause for Mr. Sean Carlog. Excellent work. Excellent work. That was awesome. I'm going to switch this around so you guys can see me while we ask some of the questions. Let's come over. All right, here we are. So, as Sean said, what are your questions? Do you have it about the coil itself? And by the way, if you have a comment too, we're totally open to your feedback on how you liked the program or what you thought was the coolest thing. So I'm going to be quiet for a moment and let you all unmute yourselves and ask questions. let me know what questions you have. Just unmute your mic and let us know. We'll answer them to the best of our ability.
Thank you, sir. We have a question. We're
All right, let's
wondering,
hear it.
Wondering
why does it have to be plugged in?
doesn't.
Why does it not have to be plugged in?
Oh, that's a great question. I think you're referring to our light bulb and our sign way back over there. So this sign right here, why did that not have to be plugged in? That's a really good question. Kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. It's like, wait a minute, we have to plug everything in, and that didn't have a battery. So what's going on there? Well, we have to think back to the idea of what the coil is doing. So that coil is what's providing the power. So when we look at, oops, sorry, got the camera the wrong way. When we look at what our coil is doing, is it is generating a big field of electricity around it. And that has enough power to light up that sign. And it has enough power to light up the light bulbs that Sean was holding. So it was sending that electricity through the air, which is not that common. That's what makes the Tesla coil so unique compared to most ways we send power. Even when we have batteries, like that's on its own. Well, really what's happening is the batteries are still closing that circuit. So you still have that flow of electricity. But when you have a coil, it is sending that power out. Think about like a car receives a radio signal from a radio tower. Well, that sign received power from the coil through the air, and it had enough power to light it up. Sean, do you have anything you want to add to that?
It's the gas inside of those. The way a neon sign works is they're glass tubes, just very similar to our light bulb, except they are warmed and shaped in the shape of letters. But there's a gas inside of there, and that gas is what is receiving that electricity. Those electrons in that field that Thomas was talking about interact with that gas, and it causes that gas to get excited, and it starts moving around really fast and getting excited and dancing, and that's what causes it to light up and glow.
Excellent question, and kind of mind warping on that one. That one's just really hard to grasp. Like, why
It's hard to understand something that you can't see, right?
Excellent question. What's our next one?
I will point out one thing while we're working on our next question. If you noticed, when we were using the light bulbs, they would light up until I placed my hand on a certain point of that light bulb. So what's happening is, again, those electrons are in the air. There's gas inside of here. It gets excited and it dances, and that current flows through that gas, and it comes up my arm and down my body to the ground, because electricity always wants to get to the ground, right? Well, when I place my hand here, now I've created a new path for that electricity. It wants to get to the ground as fast as it can, and it's faster for it to go through this arm and down my body into the ground than all the way over to that arm there. So as I moved my hand around, I was basically changing the length or the shape of that circuit and allowing that electricity to flow differently.
Do you guys have any comments on the program? Did you have a favorite song or a favorite part? Did Sean have a good selection in music for you today?
I mean, it's very obvious that Mary Had a Little Lamb was the best. I'm just...
If you say so, Sean. If you say so.
I do.
I will admit it is very difficult to play a good song on that coil. If we don't have any questions, that's okay. We just want to give you guys plenty of opportunity to have a conversation, ask a question, provide a comment. So feel free to unmute yourself and say what's on your mind about the program.
What other things have y'all shown children?
Could you be a little bit more specific? Are you talking about the coil specifically, or other types of programs that we do? Can you make sure to unmute yourself for the what you're talking about? I didn't quite understand the question. Can you say it in different words for me, please?
Like other things besides.
What other programs do you show?
Oh, I'm sorry. The connection kind of broke up a little bit on that one. It came across a little hard to hear. One more time for me. Sorry about that.
What other programs do you show?
What other kinds of programs? We've got a variety of programs. Let's see, we've got, well, one that we were going to do today was Electrify Sci. So since our educator wasn't able to come in for that today, we substituted for our other electrical program, which is the Tesla show. So we've got Electrify Sci, we've got the Tesla show, we've got Superpower Science. That one gets into the idea of how science can explain some of the superpowers that you may see in the movies. Some of those superpowers are beyond science, are just extraordinary. But some of them can be explained, like lasers, for example. So our educators are able to show off how lasers work. We also have a show, one of our classics called Awesome Science, and that one looks in states of matter and some physics where you're playing with exploring this substance called liquid nitrogen, and we get to explore how fog rings move through the air. That one's spectacular. We've also had a program called Bubbleology. That one's exploring the world of bubbles and how they work and what they do. We have one called FizzBoom Science that's focusing on dry ice. Now, with the coronavirus vaccine going out, we are finding that there is a shortage of dry ice because that is being used to help transport the vaccines across the nation. And so a lot of our dry ice supplies are being tapped very heavily right now. Let's see. We also have animals. So we have an educator named Steven that does a tremendous animal program. And we have quite a few animals in our animal room and on exhibit here at the Museum of Discovery. And Steven his passion is animals and education. And so he really gains fulfillment from teaching all types of audiences about the behaviors, habitats, diets, and lives of our different live animals. So that's a few of the different types of programs that we offer. So our whole purpose in offering these programs is to get you all excited about science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So hopefully through some of our programming, we've inspired you to want to look something else up. Like, how did that work? I want to learn more about that. How does a light switch work? Why does that allow the light bulbs to turn on or turn off? Or maybe you got excited about the music side of things. Wow, that sounded so cool. I want to learn to be able to play an instrument. I want to perform art. So that's why we do everything that we do. We want to get you guys inspired. We want you to be engaged in the world around us through science or technology, engineering, arts, or math. So I hope that kind of helped answer this type of program as well as the other types of programs and why we even offer them. That's a really great question. What others do we have today?
And who's to say someday we won't be standing here doing a program about you, something that you discovered, something that you created.
There's this amazing inventor in South Arkansas.
Yeah.
So we have a couple more minutes. So let's hear your next question or comment about our program today. And if we don't have any more, just let us know and we can wrap things up. So let us know if y'all have any more questions.
We have no more questions.
All right. Well, we sure appreciate it. I think I heard that as we have no more questions. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Once again, my name is Thomas. This is Sean Carlock. We are so happy to be able to bring you our Tesla show here today. We hope you all have a wonderful time. And if you have any other questions that pop into your head, just email Beth. She helps coordinate these programs, and she can forward the questions to us. We'll look them up and get you the answer as best as we can explain it, because like we said, we want to inspire you all. So thanks again for joining us, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.